All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Sunil Verma and with me is Subhadra Ramachandran. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterates government is committed to empowerment of each and every citizen of the country. New Delhi says Chinese action along line of actual control in last 6 months is in violation of bilateral agreements and protocols. Prime Minister to address Global Climate Summit today on 5th anniversary of landmark Paris Climate Agreement. India and Uzbekistan signed 9 agreements to strengthen strategic partnership. And national COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 94.84%. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask. Maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing and focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has reiterated that the central government is committed to empowerment of each and every citizen of the country, including the poorest of the poor. The Prime Minister was addressing the International Bharati Festival organized by the Vannabil Culture Centre in Chennai through video conferencing last evening. Mr. Modi said 15 crore women were disbursed Mudra loan and they have become economically self-reliant. Noting that women's empowerment is an important vision of Mahakavi Subramanya Bharati, the Prime Minister said women are now joining the armed forces as officers with a permanent commission.
It would make you happy that in every sphere of our government's working, there has been importance given to dignity of women. Today, over 15 crore women entrepreneurs are funded by schemes like Mudra Yojana. They are walking with their head held high, looking us in the eye and telling us how they are becoming self-reliant. Today, women are becoming part of our armed forces with permanent commissioning. They are walking with their head held high and looking us in the eye and filling us with confidence that the country is in safe hands.
The Prime Minister said Bharati held both Indian nationalism and Tamil linguistic pride as his 2 eyes. He said Subramanya Bharati was connected with his roots while looking at the future. Mr. Modi said he emphasized that we need to develop a scientific temper and not live in the past.
He sang songs of the greatness of ancient India, the greatness of Vedas and Upanishads, our culture, tradition and our glorious past. But at the same time, he also warned us that simply living in the past glory is not enough. We need to develop a scientific temper, a spirit of inquiry and much towards progress.
Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Edapadi Palanisamy said Bharati stressed national unity and integrity in all his writings and fiery speeches. In the function, Prime Minister Narendra Modi conferred this year's Bharati Award to the noted writer Sini Viswanathan. India has said that Chinese action along the line of actual control, LAC, in the last 6 months is in violation of the bilateral agreements and protocols ensuring peace and tranquility. External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Anurag Srivastava said the situation which has been witnessed since the last 6 months is a result of actions by Chinese side which has sought to effect a unilateral change in status along LAC in eastern Ladakh.
These actions are in violation of the bilateral agreements and protocols on ensuring peace and tranquility along the LAC in the India-China border areas. Both sides need to strictly follow the various bilateral agreements and protocols in their entirety, including the 1993 and 1996 agreement on maintenance of peace and tranquility along the LAC in the border areas, which require that there should not be amassing of troops. Each side should strictly abide by and respect the LAC and should not take any unilateral action to alter it. We have taken note of the Chinese side's statement that it observes strictly the agreements between the 2 sides and is committed to resolving the border issue through dialogue and safeguarding peace and tranquility in the border areas. We expect the Chinese side will match words with actions.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the Global Climate Summit today on the occasion of the 5th anniversary of the landmark Paris Climate Agreement. The Paris Agreement is a landmark deal in the multilateral climate change process. For the first time, a binding agreement brought all nations into a common cause to undertake ambitious efforts to combat climate change and adapt to its effects. It is a legally binding international treaty on climate change, which was adopted by 196 parties at the 21st session of the Conference of the Parties COP in Paris on 12th of December 2015 and came into force on the 4th of November 2016. Briefing media in New Delhi on the eve of the completion of 5 years of Paris Agreement yesterday, Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar informed that the United Kingdom has called for a virtual global climate summit today, and Prime Minister Modi will also be taking part in the meeting. Mr. Javadekar has said that climate change is not an overnight phenomenon and it has taken the last 100 years to have an impact on the environment.
पेरिस एग्रीमेंट में हमने जो मंजूर किया था वो ये था कि हमारी एमिशन इंटेंसिटी ऑफ जीडीपी विल बी रिड्यूस्ड by 33 to 35%. This was a huge commitment, and I'm happy to say that we have already achieved 21%. So remaining 12-13% we'll achieve in next 10 years.
The minister said climate change is not a result of recent actions but of historical actions. He said historically the United States of America has 25% of CO2 emissions, Europe has 22%, whereas China has 13% and India only 3% of emission.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will deliver the inaugural address at FICCI's 93rd Annual General Meeting and Annual Convention through video conferencing at 11 a.m. today. The Prime Minister will also inaugurate the virtual FICCI Annual Expo 2020. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said he is glad to be addressing the 93rd Annual Convention of the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, FICCI. The Prime Minister said he will be talking about a wide range of subjects relating to the Indian economy and how India's growth benefits the poorest as well as the marginalized. The 3-day virtual meeting will conclude on the 14th of this month. The theme of this year's annual convention is Inspired India. The event will see participation of several ministers, bureaucrats, captains of industry, diplomats, international experts and other leading luminaries. The convention will witness various stakeholders deliberating on implications of COVID-19 on the economy, reforms being undertaken by the government and the way forward for the Indian economy. FICCI Annual Expo 2020 started yesterday and will continue for a period of 1 year.
India and Uzbekistan have signed 9 agreements and memorandum of understandings in various areas to strengthen the strategic partnership. These agreements were signed during the virtual summit held between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Uzbekistan President Shavkat Mirziyoyev yesterday. The pacts were inked in the field of solar energy, digital technologies, and on high-impact community development projects HICDP. It also includes dollar credit line agreement between Export-Import Bank of India and Uzbekistan, MOU between Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs of India and the State Customs Committee of Uzbekistan on exchange of information on pre-arrival of goods moved across the state border was also signed. Besides, MOUs were also signed between Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel National Police Academy of India and the Academy of Ministry of Internal Affairs of Uzbekistan and between Indian Institute of Mass Communication and University of Journalism and Mass Communication of Uzbekistan. In his opening remarks, Prime Minister Modi said India and Uzbekistan have similar concerns about extremism, fundamentalism and separatism. He said both nations stand strongly against terrorism. Mr. Modi said India and Uzbekistan also have similar approach on regional security issues.
उग्रवाद, कट्टरवाद तथा अलगाववाद के बारे में हमारी एक जैसी चिंताएं हैं। हम दोनों ही आतंकवाद के खिलाफ दृढ़ता से एक साथ खड़े हैं। क्षेत्रीय सुरक्षा के मुद्दों पर भी हमारा एक जैसा नजरिया है। हम सहमत हैं कि अफगानिस्तान में शांति की बहाली के लिए एक ऐसी प्रक्रिया आवश्यक है जो स्वयं अफगानिस्तान की अगुवाई, स्वामित्व और नियंत्रण में हो।
Prime Minister Modi and Uzbekistan President Mirziyoyev have expressed their continued commitment to take India-Uzbekistan strategic partnership to a new and higher level. A joint statement issued yesterday after the virtual summit held between the two leaders said India and Uzbekistan have agreed to work towards an early conclusion of bilateral investment treaty to facilitate investment promotion and protection for further improvement of trade and economic cooperation. The Indian side confirmed the approval of $448 million line of credit to be extended by India for 4 developmental projects in Uzbekistan in the fields of road construction, sewerage treatment and information technology. The Indian side reiterated its commitment to further deepen the development partnership between India and Uzbekistan, including under the framework of India-Central Asia Dialogue.
Uttar Pradesh is offering incentives to attract manufacturers who are looking to shift base from China. Taking the initiative forward, the state government has decided to provide special incentives to Samsung Display Noida Private Limited, which is relocating to Uttar Pradesh from China. The company will set up a manufacturing unit of mobile and IT display products in Noida with investment of more than 4,000 crore rupees. More from our correspondent.
As per the UP Electronics Manufacturing Policy 2017, Samsung will get an exemption from stamp duty on the transfer of land. The company will also get a subsidy of around 460 crore rupees in capital investment under the central scheme. This will be the first high-technique project which is being set up in Uttar Pradesh by Samsung after relocating from China, and the country will become third in the world to have such a mobile display unit. Samsung will make an investment of rupees 4,825 crores to relocate its mobile and IT display production unit from China, and the new project is likely to generate more than 15,000 direct employment and scores of indirect jobs. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterates government is committed to empowerment of each and every citizen of the country. New Delhi says Chinese action along the line of actual control in last 6 months is in violation of bilateral agreements and protocols. Prime Minister to address Global Climate Summit today on 5th anniversary of landmark Paris Climate Agreement. India and Uzbekistan signed 9 agreements to strengthen strategic partnership. And national COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 94.84%. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
India crossed another significant milestone in its fight against COVID-19 as the active caseload in the country further decreased to stand at 3.71%. The active cases in the country are witnessing continuous decline and stand at around 3,63,000. The national cumulative recovery rate has also further improved to 94.84%, with recovery of nearly 92,91,000 people so far. With recovery of over 37,500 people in the last 24 hours, the number of daily recoveries continues to outnumber the new daily cases for over a fortnight now. The number of new daily cases also remained below 30,000, with nearly 29,000 cases being reported in the last 24 hours. The Health Ministry informed that 414 case fatalities were reported in the past 24 hours. In Delhi, a total of 2,085 fresh cases of COVID-19 were recorded during the last 24 hours, taking the total number to 6,06,335. The Delhi government has said that over 5,74,000 people have recovered from the infection so far. In the last 24 hours, 2,402 people have recovered and 60 deaths were reported in the national capital, taking the toll to 9,934.
Himachal Pradesh recorded 20 more COVID-19 fatalities during the last 24 hours, taking the death toll in the state to 783. A maximum of 8 deaths has been reported from the Shimla district, followed by 4 in Kangra. Gujarat recorded 1,223 new cases during the last 24 hours. AIR Ahmedabad correspondent reports that the recovery rate has improved and reached 92.11%. More from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
The number of total cases of COVID-19 detected so far in Gujarat has reached up to 2,25,304. Out of these, 2,07,529 patients recovered. More than 85,53,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date. Maximum 266 new cases reported from Ahmedabad, while Surat recorded 194 new cases. At present, total active cases in the state are 13,627, out of which 71 patients are on ventilator. 13 patients died yesterday, taking the total deaths due to COVID-19 up to 4,148. Meanwhile, Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation has reduced the charges of COVID-19 treatment in private hospitals by rupees 1,800 to 4,500 with effect from today. Yogesh Pandya, AR News, Ahmedabad.
India's first indigenous mRNA vaccine candidate has received approval from Indian drug regulators to initiate phase 1 and 2 human clinical trials. The novel mRNA vaccine candidate, HGCO19, has been developed by Genova Pune and supported with seed grant under the IND-CEPI mission of Department of Biotechnology. The mRNA vaccines do not use the conventional model to produce immune response. Instead, they carry the molecular instructions to make the protein in the body through a synthetic RNA of the virus. Scientists say these vaccines can be quickly manufactured in an inexpensive manner under CGMP conditions to ensure their availability and accessibility for mass vaccination on a sustainable basis. Talking to All India Radio, health expert Dr. Rupali Malik of Safdarjung Hospital in Delhi spoke about the need to take precautions to fight COVID-19, including wearing masks and maintaining social distancing. She urged people to maintain proper physical distance while performing yoga in the parks.
निकलते हैं तो मास्क पहनना बहुत ही जरूरी है और पार्क में जाके अगर पार्क में एक आइसोलेटेड कॉर्नर में बैठ के बाकी लोगों से डिस्टेंस मेंटेन करके आप मास्क हटा के थोड़ा योगा करना चाहते हैं वो आप कर सकते हैं। तो अगर आप एक ग्रुप में योगा करते हैं तो एक तो आप सोशल डिस्टेंस को जरूर मेंटेन करें और मास्क को लगा के ही अगर आप व्यायाम कर सकते हैं तो करें, क्योंकि अगर आप ग्रुप में हैं इवन अगर पार्क में है तब भी तो संक्रमण होने के चांसेस हो सकते हैं।
Union Minister Nitin Gadkari has said that diseases like thalassemia and sickle cell are increasing day by day and are spreading rapidly in East Vidarbha in Maharashtra. Mr. Gadkari said in order to eradicate the disease, a vaccine needs to be developed. He added that research needs to be done for the same. The minister was speaking yesterday at the inaugural function of an online education program for thalassemia and sickle cell disease organized by Thalassemia and Sickle Cell Center at Nagpur. We have more from our Mumbai correspondent.
Union Minister Nitin Gadkari said the cases of thalassemia and sickle cell are increasing in East Vidarbha, mainly in Bhandara, Gondia, Chandrapur, Wardha and Nagpur districts, and this is a matter of concern. Speaking at the seminar which was organized as a part of Thalassemia and Sickle Cell Awareness Week, Mr. Gadkari said patients with this disease need constant blood transfusions. He also said that a separate blood bank for sickle cell should be started to reduce the shortage of blood. He added that the number of blood donors should also be increased and if necessary the help of NGOs should be sought. With Sweetie Jain, this is Nisha Rani, Mumbai.
In Maharashtra, blood will be provided free of cost to the patients receiving treatment in state-run hospitals from today. The state government has taken this decision considering the difficulties faced by the patients in getting blood during the COVID-19 pandemic. More from our Mumbai correspondent.
In Maharashtra, no charges will be levied for procuring blood in government hospitals from today. A government resolution in this regard has been issued on Friday. Earlier, processing charges of Rs 800 were used to be imposed for buying 1 unit of blood. Now, no such charges will be levied on patients and blood will be available to them free of cost in government hospitals. On the other hand, the Brihanmumbai Municipal Corporation has decided to give the corona vaccine to the health workers in the initial stage. Additional Commissioner Suresh Kakani said that the vaccination will be done in 3 phases. More than 2,000 paramedical staff at the municipal hospital will be trained on how to vaccinate corona patients after the vaccine becomes available and what to do in case of side effects. Madhuri Pange, AIR News, Mumbai.
Maharashtra State Election Commissioner UPS Madan has announced that elections to 14,234 Gram Panchayats spread across 34 of the total 36 districts of the state will be held on the 15th of next month. With this, the Election Code of Conduct came into force immediately. The counting of votes will be held on the 18th of next month. The State Election Commissioner said elections to 1,566 Gram Panchayats were earlier scheduled to be held on the 31st of March this year. However, the polls were postponed due to COVID-19 pandemic. Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar has condemned the attack on the convoy of BJP President JP Nadda in West Bengal. Talking to reporters in New Delhi yesterday, Mr. Javadekar alleged that TMC-led West Bengal government is creating unpleasant environment in the state. He questioned the opposition parties, including Congress, for keeping mum on this issue. He demanded that the Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee should ensure law and order in the state.
Indian Railways, through its 21 Railway Recruitment Boards, RRBs, is organizing mega recruitment drive in 3 phases starting from the 15th of this month for filling up about 1.4 lakh vacancies. Ministry of Railways in a statement said that more than 2.44 crore candidates will be appearing in different cities across the country. The ministry said the first phase exam will be held from the 15th to 18th of this month for isolated and ministerial categories. This will be followed by NTPC categories from the 28th of December to tentatively till March next year, and the third phase recruitment for level 1 from tentatively April 2021 onwards till June 2021. Candidates for isolated and ministerial category exams will be informed individually through email and SMS about their city of exam, a date and shift of exam through a link provided on RRB's official websites. Link for downloading of e-call letters will be made live 4 days prior to exam date. Communication regarding next phases of recruitment will be released in due course. In a unique initiative, Chhattisgarh Police and a group of surrendered Maoists have jointly translated the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of United Nations into tribal dialect Gondi. The move is to create awareness about human rights in the Maoist-affected areas of the state. Superintendent of Police of Dantewada district, Abhishek Pallav, said it was for the first time the Human Rights Day was observed in the Maoist-affected district. More from our Raipur correspondent.
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights in tribal language Gondi was released at a function organized to mark the International Human Rights Day, and it will now be sent to all the 143 village panchayats, schools, government offices in Maoist affected Dantewada district of Chhattisgarh. Superintendent of Police of Dantewada district, Abhishek Pallav, said that Bastar being an insurgency-affected area, systematic efforts were being made to demoralize the forces by leveling allegations of human rights abuse. He said police came forward and also organized a seminar where more than 10 families narrated about how they suffered human rights abuses by the Maoist. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
The New Services Division brings glimpses of the year that was in our special series Year-Ender 2020. COVID-19 pandemic has been the biggest story of the year, and India has seen the fight back against the pandemic under the dynamic leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. A report from our correspondent about the role of traditional systems of medicine in tackling the COVID-19 pandemic.
When COVID-19 pandemic engulfed the world, governments of all the countries and medical experts started efforts to search the effective solutions to tackle with this deadly disease. In India also, efforts have been made to deal with the coronavirus with the help of traditional medicine systems like Ayurveda and Yoga, along with modern medical practices. These traditional medicines played a remarkable role in boosting the immunity of people in the absence of any effective vaccine during the COVID-19 pandemic. Indian philosophy of health is now attracting the world today. Even the World Health Organization recognizing the potential of traditional system of medicines and encouraging the research, training and sharing of best practices. Appreciating the role of traditional systems of medicines, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that Ayurveda is a heritage of India whose expansion is important to the well-being of the entire humanity. He said India has emerged as the pharmacy of the world and World Health Organization has chosen India to establish its global center for traditional medicine.
कोरोना के इस मुश्किल समय ने फिर दिखाया है कि हेल्थ एंड वेलनेस से जुड़ी भारत की ये पारंपरिक विद्या कितनी कारगर है। जब कोरोना से मुकाबले के लिए कोई प्रभावी तरीका नहीं था, तो भारत के घर घर में हल्दी, दूध और काढ़ा जैसे अनेक इम्यूनिटी बूस्टर उपाय बहुत काम आए। इतनी बड़ी जनसंख्या, इतनी घनी आबादी और ऐसा हमारा देश अगर आज संभली हुई स्थिति में है, तो उसमें हमारी इस परंपरा की भी अहम भूमिका रही।
Government is taking several steps towards the integration of traditional medicine solutions with modern medical practices and scientific validation of tested traditional medicine products and practices. These steps have made Ayurveda and yoga an important part of the health policy of our country. Government is also working to set up 1,50,000 health and wellness centers across the country, and out of these 12,500 Ayush wellness centers will completely be dedicated to Ayurveda. Bhupendra Singh, AIR News, Delhi.
In an exclusive interview with AIR News, the Secretary in Ministry of Ayush, Vaidya Rajesh, has shared the new initiatives and achievements under the Ayush Ministry. He said the inclusion of the Ayush Health and Wellness Centers component of Ayushman Bharat in National Ayush Mission has set a benchmark and will help the country to achieve universal health coverage for affordable treatments.
The Ayush system has been given this task to establish a benchmark. Whether can we provide benchmark activity of public health where entry-level healthcare is totally governed by Ayush. There are component of yoga, component of Ayush thing into the different packages. So it is being implemented at very large scale. It is in alignment with National Health Policy 2017, where it is mentioned that Ayush healthcare delivery should be mainstreamed and it should be brought into public health delivery system.
For the full interview, listen to the Spotlight program on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:15 p.m. tonight. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital will have generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. The minimum temperature was 13 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 24 degrees Celsius. In Mumbai, the sky will be partly cloudy. The minimum temperature was 24 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 33 degrees Celsius. Chennai will have partly cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between 22 and 29 degrees Celsius. Kolkata is also expected to have fog or mist in the morning and mainly clear sky later. The temperature will vary between 18 and 26 degrees Celsius. On to the north, in Srinagar, the city will witness generally cloudy sky with light rain. The minimum temperature was 2 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 9 degrees Celsius. In Jammu, the lower level of temperature was 11 degrees Celsius, while the upper level will be around 21 degrees. The city may witness thunderstorm with rain. Leh may also witness light snow today. The minimum temperature dipped to minus 19 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around minus 4 degrees. In Gilgit, rain and snow is expected today. The temperature will hover between 2 and 10 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, generally cloudy sky with light rain is expected today. The temperature will hover between 4 and 16 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, the temperature will hover between 11 and 21 degrees Celsius. The city will have thunderstorm with hail. Chandigarh may witness partly cloudy sky.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Modi appeals to farmers as BJP charts out awareness campaign, writes the Tribune. The Indian Express quotes the law minister in its top story. Continue talks, government committed to hear farmers address issues. Rebutting Chinese claim, the MEA hit back and said China's bid to change LAC is the cause of tension, writes the Pioneer. COVID active caseload drops to 3.63 lakh, lowest in 146 days, headlines the Statesman. Factory output expands 3.6% to 8-month high in October, reports the Economic Times. Industrial output stays in positive territory for second month at 3.6%, writes the Hindu. Forex reserves surge to record $579.346 billion, reports the Pioneer. And finally, Biden-Harris Times 2020 Person of the Year, informs the Tribune.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterates government is committed to empowerment of each and every citizen of the country. New Delhi says Chinese action along line of actual control in last 6 months is in violation of bilateral agreements and protocols. Prime Minister to address Global Climate Summit today on 5th anniversary of landmark Paris Climate Agreement. India and Uzbekistan signed 9 agreements to strengthen strategic partnership. and national COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 94.84%. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.